Hey folks, welcome to another one of those episodes of What the Heck Are We Doing at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday night here at Minnesota Implement. This also actually will probably go on my Motonome site, which is our street rod building site. But I've been shooting a video series here for building a street rod. A lot of it is missing as far as parting out the first vehicle and such, but in one of my earlier videos I had talked about possibly sending this out to be sandblasted or acid dipped. And I decided, since the idea here is that this is something that people could build out of their garage, that sending it out for that type of service kind of defeats the purpose of doing a video of what you can do in your garage. Now, it also occurred to me that sectioning a frame and building a frame is kind of 300 level classes, and a lot of my viewers are probably 100 level builders, meaning that sectioning a frame like this is something that new to the automotive industry or new to welding should not do. So if you're not a really good welder, you would not want to cut a frame. So you might be better off, let's say, building your street rod on an intact S10 platform, or taking a Chevy Impala or such that has a full frame that's in good shape, and strip the body off of it and start with a frame that is already intact. So you don't have to worry about whether your welding skills are good enough or not, because obviously if a sectioned frame broke right here with your engine sitting in here, that entire body is going to drop down, dig into the asphalt. It's going to break your brake lines and possibly kill somebody. So if you're not up to par on welds, don't risk your life and other people's lives to sectioning a frame. I'm a professional welder of 40 years, and it's just recently that I feel that my skills are up to the par of building motorcycle frames or building structural components that will risk people's lives at 120 miles an hour or whatever. So it's something that you shouldn't do if you're not really, really good at it, because it is risking people's lives for your skill. And there's no place for ego in building a frame. You're either good or you are not. Ego has no place in it when you're risking people's lives. So that's just something I wanted to say is if a weld breaks and somebody could die, that weld should not be on a piece of equipment if you're not sure about its strength. And these rat rods that are out there with all these welds that look like stucco, or like somebody trained some pigeons to shit in a straight line, kind of, that has no place on something that could kill somebody. I'm not a fan of the rough aesthetic as it was, but if you're going to do something for the rough aesthetic, make sure it's structural first and that everything is perfect, and then put the fatigued look or the patina over the top of that so that you know that it's safe. Because rough torch cut holes in the frame and rough welds that are all stuccoed because you did not have the proper wire or the proper shielding gas or the proper skills, you're going to kill somebody, and there's no place for that in street rodding. Be safe out there, guys. But anyways, back to what we're doing here. I'm going to wire brush this out because, like I say, not everybody has access to a sandblaster, not everybody has access to a dip tank and acid bathing, and I want this to kind of teach a lot of the skills that you're going to need to know to do this in your backyard or in your garage. And so I'm literally using one of these Bauer Harbor Freight grinders. I think I bought this for $24 on sale. They're normally like $39. So I bought a box of 10 of these while they were on sale because here at the shop, I've been burning up Metabo and Milwaukee grinders. We just burned through a group of 10 Milwaukees that were 85 bucks a piece, and I believe 6 or 8 of the Metabo W11s. Those companies have been reputable for many, many decades, and now they're building consumer household grade crap and selling it as a good quality product at $80 to $170. I'm not thrilled about them. I very rarely speak bad about companies, but you can't even get a good quality product anymore. The Harbor Freight $25 grinder here, or $39 when it's not on sale, is a better grinder than the $85 or $140 Metabos and Milwaukees. And I hate to say that, but it's true. And the stupid thing is Harbor Freight has a higher quality grinder than this. And they've got a $70 grinder, and that $70 grinder is a really decent quality grinder. So I believe that it's, well, I don't even know what the name of the blue stuff is, but it's the blue body stuff is the next grade up. This is actually kind of bottom line equipment, and this thing is a really decent product. So if I burn up 10 of these, I am still into it cheaper than burning up 2 or 3 of the Milwaukees. And these stupid things I can get a 2-year warranty on. So anyways, no guard as you see, so you gotta be real careful not to get yourself caught. These things, wire brushes spit wires at you, so long sleeves. It's one of the rare situations where when running equipment you definitely do want gloves, because when these wires come off of here, they hurt. But you can use this without a guard on here at any possible angle that you can get it in here. The thing that you don't want to do, this wheel spins that direction, so you would not want to hit the incoming leading edge of it into a corner. Because if I come into this edge here with that, it's going to jam and it's going to break a bunch of these and it's going to kick around. So you'll see it kicking around a bit. That's why the rat tail is what this is called on there. The rat tail grip and a side grip gives you a real good command over your grinder. When you're holding your grinder also, make sure you don't have your hands over the motor vents, because you'll overheat your motor. And that's one of the other dumb things with the new Milwaukees. You grab the grinder right over the top of the motor vents. There is no way to grab the grinder without covering up the motor vents. Deliberate stupidity on their part for the design. Once again, I hate talking bad about companies, but hey, they did this to themselves. They have been one of the top line companies, and now they kind of are producing garbage. Anyways, enough bitching about poor quality grinders, and can you tell I'm in a bit of a spicy mood tonight? But yeah, we're gonna just wire brush this down, and we'll move on with building a street rod. I'm using this edge and coming off of this sharp edge. So I'm pushing off the sharp edge and off of the sharp edge at the bottom rather than coming into it. If I try to come into it, it will kick, and I'll show you how that'll happen up here. I'll go off of it and then I'll come into it, and you'll see the kick back. You can just hear how it's almost trying to grind it going across that sharp edge. Now obviously to do this top edge, you'd want to be a little carefuler. So if you just barely touch it down rather than jam it into it like I'm doing, you can get that rust off the top of there without it kicking back. But if you were to get down in here with that angle, it's going to kick back, and it could actually kick this into my body. So you always want to keep a good amount of distance, so if when it kicks about 4 inches, that means you want at least 12 inches between it and you, so you've got double a safety barrier. And also try to keep your arms between you and it. Don't work over the top of it, or when it kicks, you've got no leverage to keep it from jamming into your leg. These things will take you right down to the bone. If you hit something and you're holding that trigger and it's still spinning at full speed, it'll go right down to the bone quicker than you can say, ow, I'm bleeding. So be very careful with this stuff. There's a couple of different configurations of wheels. You want to change up which configuration gets you into the corners the best. So like up on top of here, it's hard to get into these corners with this cup without it jamming. So I can switch up to this flat one and go around the inside. And then it's also good to have a little die grinder, like or a large version of a Dremel, basically, to get into the tight spaces. But you can do a lot of cleaning with one of these, and then you want to put on your soft wheel and take out any of the berries and burrs and stuff like that. Because, as I mentioned in one of the other videos, a lot of these factory welds are pretty ugly. So if you're going for a pretty clean street rod, you're going to want to clean up the factory welds and make the thing as pretty as you can. I'll do a little bit more here and then we'll call this video about good. One of the other things you want to do, other than have a vent fan going and the door open when you're doing this, I have to have it shut for you guys to be able to hear me, but it's called cross-hatching. So I start out that I'm using kind of the outside edge of this and running up and down. Then I drop and I'm using the inside edge of it. And then I'm going up and down and then side to side. So when I change side to side, I'm changing from the 12 o'clock position to the 3 o'clock. And what I'm doing is creating lines that are going side to side, and then lines that are going up and down, and then lines that are going diagonal. So if you think of it like if you were sanding a piece of wood, if you start out going with the grain, and then you change to going against the grain, and now you go 45 degree to the grain. You do the same thing when you're cleaning metal or grinding metal. You create a crosshatch like that, and that does a couple of things. It gets down into the pores a little better, and by changing your pitch, you're also getting down into the pores. So I might go like this, then go flat, and then come back and go that way. And that'll get down into these pocks and pits of the rust and get that out and get it nice and clean. But it also makes it nice and shiny. If you only travel in one direction and keep doing that, it's not going to get shiny because the dirt and the lines and everything else just kind of line up in a row. But if you keep changing what position on the wheel you're using, and you keep changing how your pressure is and your direction of travel, it will get all of that junk out of there and it'll start to get very smooth. And same thing when you've got a grinding wheel on there, you can crosshatch and it'll change it from having all these very structured lines and gouges to just smoothing out nice and, nice and level, nice and shiny, nice and smooth. So just a little bit of technique on there. And as you see, I'm kind of working here and then I'm working over there. The reason that I do that, I jump all over the place rather than work one spot until it's dead, because I have fairly severe body pain issues. So if I work one position, I start to cramp up. So as soon as I start to feel something tightening or cramping up, I change my position, and I'll change my position, and I'll change my position. And so I just spend 3 minutes here, 3 minutes there, 3 minutes somewhere else, and then come back over here, and it helps reduce my body fatigue. So it's not that folks with injuries and body problems or pain problems or any of that can't do this work. It's just you've got to come up with creative ways to thwart that pain and keep on working. So if all you can do is 20 minutes a day, that's 20 minutes a day on a street rod that nobody else is building. So get out there and do it. Learn some skills and build some cars. Thank you for watching.